be honest here, summer camping is a lot of fun. I enjoy sitting at a campfire underneath the stars, sharing a cool summer evening with my son. But summer camping has its drawbacks, bugs. Yeah, name one single person you know that is okay with that. More people, few prime spots to choose from, and the list does go on. And that's why I love a good old fall or winter camping trip. In many respects, which I've spoken to many of you about this, cold weather camping is by far my favorite. It offers even more benefits than camping in warmer months. I also enjoy the solitude of winter camping, and the night sky, it's just more crisp, more vibrant than in the summer. And did I mention no bugs? Yeah, heck yeah, I'll take that any day of the week. And since you tuned into this video, I'm digging that you're curious at least about cold weather camping as well. But just because you're camping in the cold doesn't mean that you have to be cold doing it. Now in today's video, I'm going to compare two popular heaters to see which one is best for cold weather camping. Will it be the propane heaters like the 18,000 BTU Buddy heater? Or is it going to be a diesel option like the 4 kilowatt portable diesel heater from Planar heaters? Now, both of these I have considerable amount of time with, but full disclosure, the Buddy heater, if many of you have gone out with me, you know I have not used a Buddy heater in a long time, but it is a popular choice, and it's one of those that we get a number of questions on. So of course I'm going to use that. So whether you're new to the concept of cold weather camping or you've braved the cold in the past with a heater that just didn't pan out, this video is going to be for you. You're going to want to pull up for this one here. Now I'm going to share with you the pros and cons of each here and give you my take on both types of heaters. And this is going to allow you to make a decision which is going to be best for your needs. So let's stop the chit chat and let's get to the video. Okay, we're gonna kick things off with propane. And so starting things off, propane heaters require proper ventilation to prevent buildup of carbon monoxide, CO. Now this is really crucial to use these things in a well-ventilated area, or at least with the windows slightly open if being used indoors. And since propane combustion can produce carbon monoxide, it's important to have carbon monoxide detectors. Simply put these detectors in a space where the heater is being used to let you know of any dangerous levels. Now, as much as this is a Captain Obvious thing to say here, I'm going to say it anyway, because if I don't, somebody will say, hey, well, you didn't mention it. Well, it goes to say you want to keep flammable materials away from this heater. Radiant propane heaters can ignite nearby objects if placed too close. So maintain a safe distance from combustible items. And this also includes, man, I know a few people with their sleeping bags or have gone too close, and you see those little fried marks on the side of them there with the little crisscross from the front of the thing there. You know who you are.
Yeah.
Okay. Regularly check all the hoses and connections for leaks, and you can do so with soapy water solution to test for leaks to ensure that all the connections are tight and secure. Now also, you want to ensure that the heater is placed on a stable level surface to prevent it from tipping over. Now, many of the good propane heaters, they're going to have some sort of automatic shutoff feature, so if the thing is tipped over, but you should still use caution here. Now also, some propane heaters are equipped with an oxygen depletion sensor, or it's like ODS. Now these sensors are going to automatically shut off the heater if it detects oxygen levels fall below a safe level. All right, now let's shift lanes and talk about diesel heater or diesel safety concerns. Now, diesel heaters need an exhaust system that vents fumes outside. Proper insulation is critical to prevent the exhaust gases from entering into the living space. And in all reality, this is really going to apply for those that are actually mounting the heater in like a van or a vehicle of some sort. So if you have like a portable heater, you're going to be putting that thing outside anyway. Now you also want to ensure, like with the propane heater, that the fuel lines are secure and free from leaks. Again, spilled diesel can pose a fire. It stinks like heck, and it can produce fumes if not cleaned up properly. Now also, you want to make sure that the heater is properly adjusted to avoid incomplete combustion, which can produce harmful fumes. So regular maintenance is necessary to keep the heater running efficiently and safely. Now over the years, I've tested a number of different diesel heaters. Some are turnkey right out of the box. Others require installation, putting the thing together. Installation and putting these things together should be done according to the manufacturer's instructions. Ideally, I'm going to recommend a professional to ensure that all components, including fuel lines, exhaust pipes, are correctly installed. So when in doubt, have a professional do it. And you also want to keep the area around the heater clear of flammable materials. Yeah, again, Captain Obvious moment. Although diesel heaters, they are not the same as the propane one, so they're generally a little safer in terms of ignition than propane. But you should always, again, use caution. Now, one thing I do want to point out here, some diesel heaters will come with a built-in safety feature such as overheat protection, but it's still essential to monitor the unit during operation. Now, generally speaking, no matter what type of heater that you're using for cold weather camping adventures, you should adhere to the following safety tips. Regular maintenance is key. Keeping the heater clean and regularly serviced to ensure it operates efficiently and safely into the best that it can. And also, always read and follow the manufacturer's instructions, which I mentioned a moment ago. Now, this includes safety guidelines for the specific heater model that you're using. I mean, sure, it's boring to read in manuals. I mean, yeah, come on. But, safety first here.
Sure, why not?
And as I mentioned earlier, use carbon monoxide detectors in enclosed spaces where heaters operate to ensure there is safe CO levels. And by using these safety measures and regularly checking and maintaining your heater, you can significantly reduce risk and ensure a safe, comfortable experience during your cold weather camping trips. Okay, now with that out of the way, let's get to some of the fun stuff here. Let's consider the different types of heat that these heaters produce. Now, the buddy heater, this thing puts out radiant heat, which warms objects and people that is directly in front of its path. Now, this heater does not heat the surrounding air, which makes it an effective option for providing direct heat in outdoor or well-ventilated spaces, so not your tent or your trailer. Now, diesel heaters, on the other hand, typically provide convective heat, circulating warm air throughout the space. This is effective for evenly heating enclosed environments like a tent, a trailer, or an RV. Now, there's also the difference in moisture contained and heat produced by diesel heaters and propane heaters. Now, diesel heaters produce a instant. It is a dry heat, which is why they're ideal for enclosed spaces.
Yeah, baby!
But when propane burns, it combines the oxygen to create water vapor. So for every molecule of propane burned, the chemical reaction produces 4 molecules of water vapor. So when a propane heater is being used indoors, especially in an enclosed space like a vehicle or a tent, this water vapor has nowhere to go, leading to increased humidity levels. And this, my friends, can result in condensation on the windows, walls, and other surfaces, creating a damp,
What did you say?
cold environment. It's been a long day, friends. And this is, again, if you've gone camping with me before, or if the subject of propane has come up, or why don't I use these buddy heaters, I hate moisture in a tent. I've done it years before I started testing diesel heaters. Again, I spent a lot of time camping with buddy heaters, and it was just one of those big downsides that I personally don't like. For me, I don't like it.
So that's what this is all about.
Okay, now let's start closing out the cost aspect of running both of these different heaters right here, which is an important component of deciding between a propane heater and a diesel heater is, of course, again, as I said, how expensive it is to use these things. So let's say you have an 18,000 BTU buddy heater like this one right here, and you have the native 1 pound propane bottle. And let's assume that a 1 pound propane bottle costs $6. I think it's like $5.83. I last saw it in Home Depot. Not the cheapest place, but again, I'm just gonna round it up here, and I'm going to use 1 pound. Now, I know many of you are probably already going down the comments.
Here I come.
Well, Alex, you know what? You can run it with a 20 pound, a 10 pound, 5 pound bottle. Yeah, I get it. Okay, but not everybody's going to be heading out there with that. So I'm going to do this cost comparison, which with these 1 pound bottles is going to be higher, but it's what these things are natively designed for and what many of you are going to be heading out there with. So with that said, the figures I'm going to share with you right here, if you're going out there, if you do have the ability to head out with a 5 or a 10 or a 20 pound propane bottle, that will cut the cost down on this here. So just keep that in mind. Now, what we want to figure out here, the question here is the cost per BTU. Well, a 1 pound propane contains approximately about 21,548 BTUs. So we just need to divide the cost by the total BTUs. So $6 being divided into 21,548 BTUs equals 0.000278. So in other words, you pay about 0.0003 cents per BTU to run an 18,000 BTU buddy heater.
Sounds expensive.
Not bad, right? The only problem is that a 1 pound propane bottle is going to last you about 2.4 hours with the heater running on full steam, which is going to cost you about $2.50 per hour to run this thing. So you either need to ration your heat or get a big ass bottle of propane to cut that cost down. And that's just calling a spade, or have a ton of these 1 pound bottles hanging around you. Now, what about a 4 kilowatt diesel heater like the Planar one that I've been using for the last 5 years? Now, this is a little bit more complicated because we have to convert kilowatts to BTUs and then take an efficiency into account. Now, I'm going to spare you all the calculations for this though. Instead, let's focus on the final cost to run one of these bad boys. So assuming diesel is $4.85 per gallon. Again, we're talking California. I'm going off of prices here. And the effective BTUs are going to be 116,773.85. We simply need to divide that cost to get our effective BTUs. So $4.85 divided into 116,773.85 is going to give us 0.00004. Okay, there's 4 zeros and then the 4. So that works out to be about 0.0004 cents per BTU.
Oh, sure. Well, that makes sense.
Or slightly more than roughly 0.0003 cost to run the buddy heater. Now, of course, you get about 11.85 hours of runtime on 1 gallon of diesel, which equates to about 41 cents per hour. So compare that to the $2.40 runtime of the 1 pound propane bottle. The diesel heater offers far more use and is far less expensive per hour to run that thing.
That's what I'm talking about!
Now, aside from the cost considerations for running these heaters, we also need to explore a few advantages and disadvantages of each.
Let's think about this for a sec.
So let's start with propane. Now, the advantages include propane burns cleaner than diesel, so it produces fewer emissions and less soot, which can reduce maintenance and improve indoor air quality. Now, propane heaters are often easier to set up and use. Now, there are also fewer components needed for installation and operation of these things. Propane heaters also generally have a lower initial purchase cost compared to diesel heaters.
Of course it does.
Well, let me clarify that. If we're talking about a H-Calorie special for 79 bucks, H-Calorie is a diesel heater, a cheap Chinese diesel heater that you can find on Amazon. I picked up one last September for 79 bucks.
Because they know all they sold you was a guaranteed piece of shit.
There's a story and there's an awesome video coming up on this here. But anyways, it's a horrible heater, and that I think would be the only exception of this here. If you're buying a inexpensive diesel heater, yeah, these propane heaters will still cost you more. Now, the disadvantage include propane does have a lower energy density than diesel. A gallon of propane contains about 91,500 BTUs, whereas diesel has about 137,381 BTUs per gallon. Now, propane can be less efficient in very cold conditions, and that because it requires vaporization, which can be hindered by low temperatures. Okay, now let's jump over to the advantages of diesel heaters. Now, diesel heaters offer a significant longer runtime per gallon, and it's going to be providing warmth and comfort for almost 5 times longer than the comparable amount of propane. Now, diesel heaters also contains more energy per gallon, so you get much more heat output per gallon of fuel. Now, diesel heaters are designed to operate efficiently, converting a large percentage of fuel into usable heat. Now, the efficiency makes them ideal if you need to depend on performance without frequent refueling. Diesel is also widely available and can be easier to source in remote locations. Diesel heaters can perform better in extreme cold temperatures compared to propane because diesel heaters don't rely on fuel vaporization. Now, one thing I will point out on this as well, if you're getting into cold weather, one of the big bonuses with a diesel heater as well is you can actually run it on 2 different fuels, kerosene and diesel. And if you are in a cold situation, I would recommend running a diesel heater on kerosene. It's going to run cleaner, and the kerosene does do better in cold temperatures than diesel does. Now, these heaters also use very little electrical power as well, which I've mentioned in the past. This is, while it does use very little power, it's also a crucial part with a diesel heater. So you just want to make sure you have a good, solid connection that is not going to be unplugged, because you can actually damage the heater in doing so. Now, the disadvantages of diesel heaters include the following. Now, as noted earlier, diesel combustion can produce more soot and odor compared to propane, especially, again, if you're buying an inexpensive diesel heater. This is, I'm going to put on the screen here, this is a H-Calorie. This is actually only the 2nd time that I've using it. As you can see, this thing is blowing more smoke than Mount St. Helens during an explosion. That's all soot coming out of that thing. Now, I will say this, you get what you pay for. My Planar, which I've had for 5 years now, and I'm horrible with maintenance with this thing. I've only had 1 case where it blew out smoke, and that was last year because I left some nasty ass diesel fuel in it all summer that I emptied out. Now I just started the damn thing up, and it blew a small little puff of smoke, and after like 30 seconds, it cleared up. So diesel heaters also typically have a higher initial cost than propane heaters. We have established that already. So in a nutshell, propane heaters are often more suitable for quick setups and cleaner operation, especially in moderate climates. They're more powerful in terms of immediate heat output, but diesel heaters, they tend to be more efficient and can be much more efficient in cold operations or cold conditions and for extended periods of time. Ultimately, I use my diesel heater as my primary heat source because of its durability, its efficiency, and its performance. I need something that I can rely on heating my tents, my various tents that I go hanging out with, without having to worry about condensation. Again, I don't like condensation. I also like the fact that this heater is outside of my tent, which reduces the risk of carbon dioxide poisoning. However, this is just all me. The choice between diesel and propane depends on your specific needs. So if you need something more robust and long lasting to heat an enclosed space, a diesel heater is going to be the better option. But if you need a smaller heater that puts out a lot of, again, kind of direct heat in more moderate climates, a body heater might be the better option for you. Now, as with any purchase of outdoor gear, you should take your time to learn about the options, weigh the pros and the cons, and consider the expense. Man, I hope today's video was helpful for you to do that. I've been wanting to do this clip for a little while here. All right, I've added links in the description of all the products that we discussed here today, so you can check them out in more detail if you like. And so, by all means, if you have questions on anything about this video, by all means, leave some comments down below. But that is going to wrap up this video, friends. As always, look, I always appreciate you tuning in. Now, if you want to support the channel, support the whole YouTube algorithm, by all means, hit that like button down below. And if you want to see more videos, hit the subscribe button. We'd love to have you part of the family. But friends, that is going to be it today. So with that said, I'm going to be shutting off the cameras, and I will see you in the next video.